Hai para tetangga gue, wah gak berasa ya tinggal 3 hari lagi dan gue semakin gak sabar untuk ketemu sama kalian di Daniel Tetangga Kamu live on stage. Hari Kamis, tanggal 18 Mei jam 9 pagi di Tixi Space. Nah, nanti di setiap sesi gue akan membuka kesempatan untuk kalian bertanya kepada bintang tamu kita atau tetangga yang akan gue ajak ngobrol. Nah, jadi menurut gue nih, mulai dari sekarang kalian siapin pertanyaan-pertanyaan untuk Mary Riana, Bongol Stress, atau Mbak Najwa Shihab. Well, gue yakin banget kalian akan mendapatkan banyak sekali values-values dan juga pelajaran dari cerita hidup para tetangga kita yang gue ajak ngobrol. Makanya nih, sekarang ini gue pengen ngasih tahu ke kalian kalau misalnya masih ada tempat untuk 35 orang lagi di acara ini. Karena sebenarnya kita bakal full banget. Jadi kalau misalnya gue jadi lo, langsung aja registrasi sekarang juga di bit.ly/dtklive. I cannot wait to see you guys there. Di episode Daniel Tetangga Kamu kali ini, kita masih dalam rangkaian Israel Edition. Dan kali ini gue mendapatkan kesempatan untuk ngobrol langsung dengan tetangga kita dari Iran. Dia adalah Ramin Parsa. Di sini, Ramin akan bercerita bagaimana proses perjalanan hidup dan spiritual journey-nya. Tumbuh di Iran dengan mayoritas Islam Syiah, Ramin juga mendapat perlakuan tidak adil di rejim yang sangat menekan rakyat Iran. Sampai akhirnya, ia bertemu Yesus Kristus secara pribadi. Dan sejak saat itu, hidupnya berubah. Inilah dia kisah tetangga kita. Hai, ini gua Daniel Tetangga Kamu. Di sini gua akan ngobrol dengan tetangga gua tentang perjalanan hidup mereka dari kacamata spiritual di saat mereka mengalami situasi tidak pasti dan kekhawatiran, sampai bisa kembali bangkit menjadi orang yang lebih kuat dari sebelumnya. It's gonna be very exclusive and inspiring. Hey semuanya, di sini Daniel Mananta dan kita kembali lagi di Daniel Tetangga Kamu. Nah, ini agak spesial ya. Kalau misalnya lu perhatiin di background gue, ini gue live Daniel Tetangga Kamu dari Yerusalem, Israel. So, hari ini spesial banget karena gue untuk pertama kalinya ngobrol sama seseorang dari Iran yang mempunyai cerita luar biasa banget. So, langsung aja ini dia tetangga kita yang jauh-jauh datang dari Iran. This is Ramin Parsa.
Yes,
Ramin, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Praise God. We are here in Jerusalem.
Amen.
And, I want to know about your life story. So tell me, I've never been to Iran. Dan by the way, kepada semua yang lagi dengerin di podcast, kalau misalnya kalian dengerin ini melalui podcast, kalian bisa cek ke YouTube channel kita karena di situ akan ada subtitlenya. Alright, jadi kalau misalnya lo lebih nyaman baca subtitle dengan bahasa Indonesia, karena selama kita ngobrol nanti pakai bahasa Inggris terus. So Ramin, I'm just wondering, what is life like in Iran? Because I've never been to Iran, and tell me a little bit about Iran.
Well, Iran is the ancient Persia. It's a very, very old ancient civilization.
Okay.
And 2,500 years ago, we had King Cyrus and Xerxes, Artaxerxes, Darius. And Iran had a big civilization. And so we had a rich culture, music, very tasty food. I recommend you try it.
I should. Iranian food.
Yes.
I actually have a few friends from Iran. They came to Indonesia as a refugee, and the food, the one with eggplant and they burn it.
That's correct.
Oh my goodness.
They fry the eggplant and
Yes.
with the peas.
Oh, so good.
So good.
So good. Oh man. Anyway, my friends Zainab and Jafad, and it's too bad they're in Canada now. I still ask for the recipe for the food, but anyway, yes.
So then so Iran has a rich ancient culture and civilization, and until 1,400 years ago, when Iran basically became an Islamic nation, when the Arabs came to Iran, and Iran became an Islamic nation. So since then, Iran has been an Islamic nation. Ups and downs, different kings came and went, and about 43 years ago, we had a revolution in Iran in 1979, and that's when basically Ayatollah Khomeini came in power in Iran. So life is basically defined as a Muslim. So in Iran, everything must be Islamic. The way you dress, the way you eat, whatever you do, the way you get married, everything is defined based on Islamic laws. And a lot of people, young people, actually are rejecting that because their life has been limited and kind of oppressed because of those things. If you cannot decide, even dating a girl, like if you want to meet someone to marry, it could be in danger because you could be arrested.
Ramin, I'm so sorry to cut you, but you said the revolution was in 1979. So that was only recently. But before 1979, what was it like?
So before 1979, we had different dynasties. So since 1400 years ago until 43 years ago, we had different dynasties who came and went.
Okay.
But they're also Islamic.
Okay.
Like the Qajar dynasty, the Safavi dynasty.
But they're beautiful. It's not like the Islamic dynasty. It's not so much as oppressive after the revolution.
Some dynasties were very very oppressive. Like Qajar dynasty. In fact, during Qajar, the woman had to cover their face completely, like in Taliban, like in Afghanistan. They had to wear burqa and hijab. But then in about 1920, we had a king came to power in Iran who was King Reza Shah Pahlavi. And when he came to power, he really changed Iran. He began to let people to decide what to wear. The woman told women, you don't have to wear hijab. He actually removed hijab from his own wife and sister and mother and made him an example. See, you don't have to wear hijab.
Wow.
You can be free. And then he built a railroad, and he built universities, open universities, began to build roads and hospitals and revolutionized Iran.
That's like what we see in UAE now.
Exactly.
Right.
So Iran began to grow and become very, very prosperous. And then oil was found in Iran. So Iran became very rich. And by 1979, Iran was one of the biggest economies in the world. Very rich culture, freedom. And because the king who was in power, the Reza Shah's son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, he was a nominal Muslim. He was not implementing Sharia law. So a lot of people were Muslims, but the government would not implement Sharia law. But then there's a revolution. The Muslims basically pulled down the Shah. Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. And then Islamic Sharia law became mandatory. So they began to implement it.
That's in 1979.
1979. And since then, women cannot decide what to wear. You cannot.
They cannot drive.
Exactly. They can drive. Women can drive, but they have certain limitations. The right of a woman or the testimony of a woman is half of a man. Many stuff like that. And then I remember when I was a kid in Iran, I used to walk down the street to go to school, and I saw with my own eyes people being executed.
Wow. How
hanging from a crane.
Hanging
from a crane. They hang people in public executions to make them an example, or lashing people on the street because they maybe drank alcohol or did something, and they would beat people. So a lot of things like that I saw. And as a child, I really loved God. And because when revolution happened, everything became Islamic. The schools, the media, textbooks, everything became Islamic. You have no choice. You have to be a Muslim. And so I grew up in a Muslim family. My mom was very devout, and I used to go to mosque and pray. We were Shiite Muslim. So we pray 3 times. It's 5 combined in 3. And I go to mosque, and then we had beating ourselves for the imams who died. The Shiites do that, all trying to earn points to go to heaven. Because they told us this is the way it is, and if you want to believe in God and worship Him, this is what you have to do. And every morning in the schools, they told us to say "Death to America, death to Israel."
Wait, if I'm not mistaken, when you mentioned King Xerxes, King Darius, and these are biblical names, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they were written, and King Xerxes was married to Queen Esther.
Esther, that's correct.
Hadassah, right? Yes. Her Jewish name, and King Darius. No, Darius was with Daniel, right?
That's right.
Daniel, the prophet Daniel,
Yes.
and King Cyrus was the one who told Nehemiah to build.
King Artaxerxes.
Artaxerxes, sorry. Yeah, I got my history wrong. So there always, it feels like the Persian kings or the ancestors of the Iranians, they're always been friends with the Jewish people,
That's correct.
with the Israel
That's correct.
in a way. But how could in your school you have to step on
Israeli
the
flag,
Israeli
American
flag and American
yes.
flags?
Because when a revolution happened, the revolution and Islamic Sharia law basically they resist and reject Israel as a nation, and that's why there's a hatred toward Jews and Christians, and that's why every morning America is the biggest Christian nation and Israel is the only Jewish nation, and that's why they told us to say death to America, death to Israel, walking on the flag. In our textbooks, we had picture caricature, of course, sketched of Israeli soldiers killing this Palestinian baby. So naturally creates a hatred in your heart toward Israelis. So you think they're oppressors, and you think the Palestinians are oppressed, Israelis are the oppressor. So we didn't know, and this is before the age of social media, and so a lot of people believe those things, and. But 43 years of executions and oppression and killings and murder. In fact, past 7-8 months has been protests almost every night because a 22-year-old girl named Mahsa Amini, she was murdered by the Islamic Sharia law police because her hair was a little bit visible. So her hair was out of her hijab. And so they confronted her and they got into an argument and they beat her and she died. And that caused like outrage. And Iranian people came out and since past 43 years, because the Iranian regime, the Islamic regime in Iran, is threatening to destroy Israel and is trying to acquire nuclear bomb. And because of that, they have been under sanction. Iran has been under sanction. So economically, Iran has been very suffering, and the people have been suffering. But it's the fault of the regime that has this ambition of destroying Israel and taking over the region and taking over the world for Allah and so forth. And that's the reason. So, but people have been paying the price. So inflation, I remember when I left Iran in 2006, $1 was equal to 700 Tuman, Persian currency. Today, $1 is almost 45,000, 50,000 Tuman.
Oh my goodness.
So when revolution happened in 1979, $1 was equal to 7 Tuman. So it's from $1 to 7 Tuman to $1 to almost 45,000, 50,000 Tuman today. So imagine inflation, imagine no jobs, no opportunity for young people. So after 43 years of that, not only economically they have been suffering, they also don't have choice to dress the way they want. So they get beaten that way as well. So a lot of young people are actually rejecting the regime, and a lot of them are rejecting actually Islam. They say, we don't want this anymore. We're tired of that. We don't have job. We don't have opportunity. We don't have even freedom. So a lot of people are protesting for past 7 to 8 months. So that rich culture, and then when Islam came, 1400 years of Islam, and before Islam in 1400 years ago, Iran had poets, agriculture, music,
but
arts.
They're not free to express themselves creatively nowadays because of that. I wonder, because we live in Indonesia where Indonesia it is the biggest or the people who have Muslim as a religion, the majority of people, right? But we don't call ourselves a Muslim country because we have Pancasila, the 5 principles that guide us to become Indonesians. So we do respect different religions. We have Islam, Catholic, Christians, Buddhists, Hindu, and actually one more, Konghucu or Confucius. Now, but I wonder when you have Sharia law, as the law of the country, what happened to the state law? For example, you mentioned before it was the Sharia police, right, who was getting an argument with the woman. But what about the police, the state police? Is there any such thing, or
basically the state is the Sharia law, and Sharia law is the state.
Okay.
So everything is judged by the Islamic laws.
Okay.
And the civil police is also under the Sharia law. So the police can also warn you about, why do you have alcohol? If the police arrest you and you have alcohol in your possession, or you drank, or even in your home, you can go to jail and be beaten.
So that means when you have Sharia law, sorry, I'm just really curious, by the way, right? When you have Sharia law, that means you are not, how do you say? For example, if you cross the red light, okay, just as simple as that. If you cross the red light, jaywalking, then you don't you break the law of God rather than the law of state.
Well, it's certain stuff. So if you cross a red light and so forth, those are like civil issues.
Yeah.
Like the traffic lights and so forth. But then moral issues are all implemented by Islamic Sharia law. Like how to get married, and you have to do it by a mullah had to come and do it for you, and you have to basically during Ramadan, for example, Ramadan it's a fasting month. All the restaurants are forced to close. They can't be open. They cannot cook food. They cannot sell food. They can't even if you eat on the street during Ramadan, you can be arrested and beaten and fined. If you drink on the streets, you can be beaten, arrested, and tortured. So that's when they implement Sharia law. And the state police, they are a part of the implementing of the Sharia law. So if a police see you, they can also arrest you for drinking water or food during Ramadan.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that means there are some like civil laws, but then the morality, it could be tricky, right?
So, for example, if you go to court and you bring a woman as a witness, her testimony is half of a man because of the Islamic laws. So laws like that. Like if you kill a Jew or a Christian, their punishment is half. Basically, the fine or where you have to pay is half for a Muslim. Stuff like that. So even the civil laws and everything is implemented, affected.
People's life is not all equal.
Exactly. It's not equality. There's no freedom. And after 43 years of that, when revolution happened, actually people are rejecting this whole idea. They're rejecting Islam. They say we don't want that. Some becoming atheists, and that's why, because they're sick and tired of all these stuff. They're tired of religiosity, and at the same time, they look for God. So as a result, a lot of them are rejecting everything that calls God or faith or belief, and they're becoming atheists or agnostics. And that's why, because of the suffering that they endured during the 43 years of Islamic revolution.
That's so sad. Sorry, I'm just like, wow, 43 years.
Yes. 16 years old, something happened to me that began to change my life. So I was actually arrested and tortured by the Islamic Sharia law. And then they threw us into a room, like a small room with 50 people. They're choking. No food. One boiled egg in the morning, one boiled egg at night. If you stay longer, 65 seconds, they kick the door, they beat you up.